Do you want to be ahead of the game for the latest in arts, music, cuisine, and entertainment across the Middle East's most dynamic capital cities? Al Monitor is proud to launch our City Pulse newsletters, focused exclusively on local news, starting in Riyadh, Dubai, Istanbul, and Doha. Each week, our on-the-ground writers in these cities cover the latest cultural happenings and trends, so you have everything you need to know for the best local experiences. To subscribe for free, go to almonitor.com, that's al-monitor.com, and sign up on our newsletter page.
Welcome back to the Al Monitor Brief. I'm Adam Lucente. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said Thursday evening that there is currently no agreement to restart nuclear talks with the U.S. His comments followed U.S. President Donald Trump saying on Wednesday that talks could resume next week. The Trump administration is seeking a comprehensive peace deal with Iran that includes restrictions on the Islamic Republic's nuclear program. The nuclear talks between the two countries were canceled after the outbreak of the conflict between Israel and Iran earlier this month. The U.S. ultimately carried out strikes of its own on Iranian nuclear facilities before brokering a ceasefire between Israel and Iran that went into effect Tuesday. On Friday, Trump called on Iran to, quote, get back into the world order flow, and criticized Ayatollah Ali Khamenei for boasting that Tehran won the recent war. But in an exclusive interview with Al Monitor on Thursday, Iranian ambassador to the United Nations, Amir Saeed Iravani, said Tehran is open to a number of arrangements on the nuclear issue, including a regional consortium and the transfer of enriched uranium stockpiles. My guest this episode is Al Monitor President Andrew Parasilidi. Andrew, who conducted the interview with Ambassador Iravani and has reported extensively on the Trump administration's Iran policy, takes us through what a new nuclear deal might look like, the future of Iran's adherence to the Non-Proliferation Treaty, aka NPT, the potential for Western investment in Iran's energy sector, and more. Hope you enjoy. Andrew, welcome back to the Al Monitor Brief.
Adam, thank you for inviting me again. Good to be with you.
Yeah, thanks for having us, especially after writing such an interesting piece on this topic. Andrew, why would Iran be interested in a regional consortium on nuclear cooperation? And what would be the potential benefits to Iran in such a scenario?
The idea of a regional consortium is a very creative offer that was put forward by the Trump administration. It recognizes that Iran can take advantage of civil nuclear power within its country without the need to enrich solely on its own territory. Iran has so far dug in its what they call right to enrich uranium within Iran. Now, if Iran were to engage in a regional consortium, meaning in partnership with the Arab Gulf countries, this would allow Iran to develop nuclear energy, to take advantage of working with partners who also happen to be close partners of the United States in the region, take advantage of the technology and opportunities that such a collaboration would offer, and bring civil nuclear power to its people without the concerns that the United States and the international community has had about Iran's enrichment activities, which, as we see by the recent conflict, and as we see by the priority that President Trump has given to dealing with Iran, that it cannot get a nuclear weapon. And the only way to really shut down Iran's path to a nuclear weapon is to be sure that it does not have an enrichment capability in its own territory. But this is a major sticking point in the negotiations. I personally think the regional consortium is a creative proposal. Ambassador Amir Saeed Iravani, he said that Iran could be open to a regional consortium, but again, Iran would have to understand the terms and conditions around that type of engagement.
And Foreign Minister Araghchi said recently that there are no plans for a return to the U.S. talks. What are the prospects that these negotiations might return? Is it possible or is it unlikely given the recent conflict?
I think it's likely. Talks have continued, indirect and direct talks, even during the recent 12-day war. The Trump administration brokered a ceasefire between Iran and Israel. Regional parties, including Qatar and others, have been involved in trying to bring the parties together. I think it's a matter of time. And I think what you're seeing now is President Trump said this week that there could be a meeting as soon as next week. The White House subsequently said that no date has been set. But Iran is saying there are no plans, but there are no plans until there are plans. So my expectation is they're working out the date, venue, and parameters of the talks, but you can probably expect talks in the coming days or weeks.
And how significant do you think it is that the Iranian parliament voted to suspend cooperation with the IAEA? And does this mean that Iran will potentially leave the NPT altogether?
Ambassador Iravani said that the vote in the parliament to suspend cooperation with the IAEA did not imply that Iran was going to exit the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Many observers have said that that leaving the NPT would be a worrying step that Iran could take, but at least based upon the interview with Ambassador Iravani yesterday, that does not seem to be in the cards at this time, but it's certainly an option that Iran could consider. I think it would be an option that is against their interests, would only increase skepticism and scrutiny regarding its nuclear program following what happened in the 12-day war.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with Andrew Parasiliti after this short break.
Today's transformation of the Middle East is at the center of global geopolitics. Whether you're an analyst, diplomat, executive, or academic, you need the best reporting and analysis to understand what's really happening on the ground and what it means for the world. Al-Monitor is the award-winning independent leader in Middle East news. From Riyadh to Beirut, Abu Dhabi to Doha, and Baghdad to Tehran, our team of over 100 expert journalists report daily on the top stories driving the regional trends. Download our mobile app and subscribe to Al-Monitor to follow what leaders and decision makers are reading every day. Go to almonitor.com, that's AL-MONITOR.com, and use promo code POD25, POD25 for a discount.
Okay, we're back. Andrew, I want to conclude with something else interesting that you touched upon in the interview. How open do you think Iran is to Western investment in their energy sector in the event that there's a new nuclear deal?
Well, Ambassador Iravani has said that they would be open to U.S., Western, and other investment in its energy sectors, including, I assume, the nuclear sector. Iran needs a lot of assistance if it were to engage in an agreement, a comprehensive agreement with the United States, which would allow it to open up its economy and allow investment in its energy sectors, nuclear, gas, oil. This would be a huge benefit for the Iranian economy. Those sectors have been deprived because of sanctions over the decades, and Iran could possibly, if it takes up these offers that the administration may be putting forward in a serious way, they could have the opportunity for a kind of renaissance in their engagement. In fact, that's what U.S. Special Envoy Witkoff said, that Iran should partake in the renaissance opportunity with Arab partners in the Gulf. When Iranians look across the Persian Gulf and see what's happening in the Arab capitals in the Gulf, they must wonder, why not us? Iran now has an opportunity to take that step if it's willing to compromise on its right, as they say, to domestic enrichment, probably have to take steps to constrain its missile program over the years in some context of regional security discussions. Ambassador Iravani said both are not negotiable. But if they're willing to compromise on those positions, the Trump administration seems to be making clear that they could be part of a more positive trend in the region. And we're seeing in the news today that there are discussions that President Trump, Prime Minister Netanyahu, and other partners in the region may be moving towards a ceasefire on Gaza as well. So the Trump administration is trying to move ahead on a number of fronts. Iran can be part of progress in the region, or continue to be part of the lack of progress and setting the country back by not taking these proactive steps.
And just a quick follow-up on that. Do you think American companies would be interested in potentially investing in Iran, or might this be considered too much of a risk given the recent history?
It's a good question. I think in the short term, there would be a high degree of risk. What we're seeing with other reporting, there was a piece on CNN yesterday as well, that position, which has been reported by CNN based upon what they say are administration sources, for investment in Iran's nuclear sector, not necessarily to include American companies, but would be supportive of regional and Western investment. Obviously, if Iran opens up and there is a change in how Iran does business, and if sanctions were ever lifted on Iran, there would be great opportunities for U.S. Western investment, as well as enhanced economic and technological partnerships with the Gulf region as well.
Andrew, thanks a lot for your time, and we look forward to more of your interesting reporting on this topic.
No, thank you for having me, Adam.
Thanks for listening to the Al Monitor Brief. Be sure to follow Al Monitor for more on the stories impacting the Middle East. Until next time, I'm Adam Lucente.